Okay, so I'm going to go through these examples just using good old-fashioned pen and paper. You at home should be using a pencil, but just so it shows up a little more clearly here, I'm going to go with a pen. So this first sheet in the fraction extension work for this week presents you with basically just a picture of fraction strips. So if you conducted that activity last week, you could even take your own fraction strips and arrange them like this. Whoops. So they'll go from largest. Of course, they've left out one whole, but we could also have at the very top here one whole, the one piece. And then we have the same size piece, but chopped into different size pieces going down. So here we have halves. So we have 1 and 2 pieces. Thirds, 1, 2, 3. Fourths, sixths, eighths, and twelfths. I find especially sixths very difficult to say, but kind of fun too. And then we're going to look at what we call equivalent fractions. So equivalent fractions is another way of saying you have the same amount, right? The same amount. We're going to talk about chocolate bars right now because of the shape of these. So you have the same amount, but you have a different number of pieces, and the pieces are a different size. So number 1 on the question sheet says 1/2 is equal to how many sixths? So if you are using your fraction strips for this, you could just lay out 1/2 and then get your sixths out and lay them down beneath that 1/2 until you make an amount that is equal. Now we have the fraction strips laid out right here, so we can just find where 1/2 is. That's right here, and we can just follow it down until we see sixths. So there's no equivalent fraction between halves and thirds because those pieces are completely different size. But if we're talking fourths, 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. But we got to go one further, and we'll see that 3/6 is equal to 1/2. And some of you have probably noticed the pattern here, that 1 is half of 2, 2 is half of 4, 3 is half of 6, 4 is half of 8, and 6 is half of 12. And that's not a coincidence. When we're talking about 1/2, if you have half of something, then you have that same amount going all the way up. But if we have 6/12 of something, then you have 6 little pieces. But if you have just 1/2 of something, you've just split it into 2 pieces and you have 1. So 1/2, to get back to the question, is equal to, because it's the same size as, 3/6. So we can do that exact same thing all the way across. 1/4 is equal to how many eighths? Well, again, all we have to do is start by finding this fraction, this piece right here. So we're going to find the fourths, first of all. So halves, thirds, fourths, and we're looking for 1/4. So 1/4 is equal to how many eighths? Well, another thing we can notice here is that if this number doubles, then this number has to do the same thing. So if the pieces get smaller from fourths to eighths, then the number you have has to get bigger. So 1/4, if we follow that down, we'll find that that lines up to 2/8. And we can notice that same thing happening here. 2, 4, 6. So we double, or rather, sorry, we add 2 each time. 2, 4, 6. And here we're going up by 1 each time. So 1, 2, 3. So let's see how that looks with the next example, 1/3. So again, we're going to find 1/3, we're going to find sixths. Well, let's see if the pattern holds true. So if 3 doubles to get to 6, then 1 has to double to show this. So 1/3, we have 2/6. Just like that. Let's do the last one on this line. So 4 asks us 1/4 is equal to how many twelfths? Well, 4 has to triple. 4 plus 4 plus 4 gives us 12. So 1 must have to triple as well. So triple 1 is 3. And let's look on the fraction strips to verify. So 1/4 is equal to 2/8 is also equal to 3/12. Let's take a look at part 2. So this is almost exactly the same idea as the sheet before. In fact, they've laid out the fraction strips here. We have some different fractions this time, though. We have 1 whole, we have halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, skipping 7, going straight to eighths, and tenths. And this goes through the exact same idea. If two fractions are equivalent, we notice that that sounds a lot like the word equal, and it means that they are equal. Often if you notice the same words within words, it shows that they have a connection of some kind. So this says use the fraction wall, that's referring to this thingy, to answer the questions below. How many quarters make a half? So we're kind of answering those questions in reverse now. How many quarters do we need in order to equal 1/2? Now I'm going to color on mine because I'm just using it for this one example. You might not want to do this because you have to answer all of the questions and it might throw you off for later. But I'm trying to make a half. So I'm going to just shade in 1/2 here. Let's try to be a little tidier here. 1/2. And I need to find out how many quarters make that same amount. So I'm going to come down to my quarters. And I've shaded 1/4. And if I shade one more, that makes those equal. So 2/4 equals 1/2. How many sixths make a half? Well, I can just do the exact same thing. I've already highlighted 1/2 here. So I'm going to come down to my sixths. And I need to cover that same amount of space. So I'll go across. And I've shaded in 1, 2, 3 sixths. And then down at the bottom, it's basically asking you the same as the questions on the previous sheet. Fill in the equivalent fractions below. 1/2 is equal, and that's the same as the first question here. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4. In fact, I bet you'll notice that a lot of these questions overlap here to here and with the other page.